Hi, I am Richie-Babbage, founder of the Nonprofit Impact Accelerator and the Nonprofit Launch Lab and host of the Nonprofit Mastermind podcast. This is 5-minute strategy for leaders of growth stage nonprofits. Each week, I'll share a quick strategy tip on launching, scaling, or leading your growth stage nonprofit. In this video, I'm going to talk about hiring to fuel your growth, hiring to scale. I talk in my trainings and in my accelerator program about the importance of thinking about and building capacity. And by that, I mean having the right people in the right roles if you want to scale. But what does this actually look like in practice? So let's start with what it looks like to not have the right people in the right roles, meaning you don't have the capacity to fuel your growth. You move from meeting to meeting without time to do sense making or to execute. You don't have time to follow up on emails from key donors and strategic partners. You're not actually building critical internal systems because it takes think and deep work time, and you don't have that time. The upshot is when you don't have capacity, you don't have time, and you don't grow. You must get the right people on your team to free up your time to do the things that drive and sustain your impact. So let's talk about what it looks like when you do have the capacity you need to grow. There are 2 ways that I encourage you to think about hiring to support your ability to scale. The first is to think about hiring as an investment in high leverage activities. When you look at your calendar, it probably includes some messy and chaotic combination of high and low leverage activities. What do I mean by this? High leverage activities are those that drive revenue and impact. You want more of these on your calendar. Think about it this way. You're on a path out of a forest. Your role as the leader, increasingly as you grow, is to be above the trees, looking way down the path and strategizing about how to get down that path quickly and efficiently. High leverage activities are the things that are like jet boosts down the path. Here's some examples of high leverage activities that you should be trying to maximize in your calendar. Fundraising, network expansion, strategic partnerships, strategic program design, and thought leadership. Each of these activities, when done correctly, has a high return on your investment. I mean, for every hour that you spend, the effect on revenue and impact is significant. What are some examples of lower leverage activities? And I want to emphasize that I don't mean not important. I mean, they keep you on the path, but are not like jet fuel. Writing newsletters, doing social media, database entry, certain types of program execution. The more time you spend on these activities, the slower and more painful your process of scaling will be. The key is to begin to hand over low leverage activities as early in your hiring process as possible so that you can spend your time propelling your organization down the path of growth. The second key shift in early hiring, and this should happen way earlier than it does for so many organizations that are trying to scale, is to see hiring as hiring for ownership rather than purely for execution. When we're just starting out and we're earlier in our hiring, most of us are hiring for execution. This may mean turning to a trusted volunteer and making them a part-time employee, bringing on interns and externs, creating fellowship programs and partnerships with universities. It basically looks like all hands on deck. And that's true for many reasons, ranging from lack of funds to sometimes even lack of clarity about precisely what roles you need filled. But as you scale, you cannot own all of the workflows. When you hire for execution, you're ultimately still accountable for the final outcomes yourself. And you have a lot of people to meet with and manage, which means you cannot spend your time on high leverage activities. Hiring for ownership means looking at entire workflows and hiring as high up in that workflow as possible. And I cannot stress this enough. Do this earlier than you think you need to. Hire the director or the manager before that third program associate. These owners can actually take on the work, the weight of accountability, take that off your plate. A few ways to operationalize this. Map your processes, write down what you do. Create clear standard operating procedures or SOPs for the workflows that you own. Hand these over to the people that you hire and trust that they will be trained on and learn the process. If you are hiring good people, learners, strategic thinkers, yes and empathetic, they will absorb and implement your SOPs. In the handout that I've created, I've shared some standard SOPs. You can get the Hiring for Scale worksheet at richie-babbage.com/hiring to scale. That's my 5 minutes for this week. Have a great week.